And this is
But
just
this
a
birth
mixtape.
of my daughter this week was just this whirlwind, because I saw the faces of all these fathers in the birthing ward, and they were with their wives, and it was this face and these filled with emotion, just like I was feeling. Like these men were filled with anticipation, and their faces were anxious, and they were just wanting to be the best husbands, wanting to be the best partners they could to support their wives in retrospect. And I also felt and I also saw what a lot of men feel in those moments, in those hours, counting up to the time to where it's time to push and to bring your son or your daughter into this world. I saw this pressure. I saw this anxiety and this unknownness that a lot of us men, we don't know what's coming. We as men are fixers, we're providers, we're protectors. But in those moments, it exposes our vulnerability, because we're not able to do these things during this birth. We're not able to protect our wives from the pain. All we can do is just kind of coach them through it. And these women are so remarkable to go through the birth and what God explains to us about these birthing pains. And you see it tenfold of just how beautiful, but also how incredibly strenuous it is. And it can literally take your life to give life to the child. It could take life. And so it's a very scary process, just being completely real. And I was just seeing these men, and I was just wondering, where's the space for the men in these vulnerable times? Because all this pressure that as soon as this child comes into the world, that we're able to just smile and laugh and embrace our wives for doing such this great job of carrying our children for 9 months, and now you brought in this life that looks like you and her, and now you're hit with reality. In that moment when my daughter was born, I felt like the adversary could feel the vulnerability. I'm getting emails of rejection letters of benefits or not qualifying for things. I get these alerts of bills just starting to succumb and overwhelm me. I get doctors coming in wanting to jab and pry and poke at my daughter to see and interject and talk to us about policy, about vaccinations. And it was just so overwhelming that in this vulnerability that us men don't have the time or the capacity to just be restful and just be present in that moment, to just breathe and embrace our children, because it's just the pressure of the world just is right there. Now I only have to, not only do I have to worry about my wife and is she okay and my child, but now I have to worry about the pressures of the bills and the pressure of going back to work and the pressure of this and that and that and this, and it was just so much. And I felt this creeping sensation of fear just start to override me, and I had to calm myself down. I had to really just take a step out of allowing the adversary to whisper in my ear to try to get me to like crash out, in a sense of just being too much in that moment. Men, we need those safe spaces. Society wants us to be strong and brave and courageous and protectors and providers and all these things that I do agree are attributes of men, should be in our wheelhouse, should be in our character. But there has to be moments away from our wives to where we can be open and not having these artificial copy and paste, very filler conversations. I'm not with these miscellaneous conversations of just how you're going and all these things. Like, just be transparent, just be real. And I feel like men are missing men who are going to be real and having real, tangible conversations with substance, to where we can hold each other responsible, where we can really help uplift each other, where we can be into a safe space and vulnerable with each other, because there's some things that we can't do with our partners and our wives. And even though that they are our helpmates and they are a part of us because that's how God ordained it, we don't want to unload all this emotional vulnerability on them because they don't have the capacity to carry that. So we need other men in this body of this church. And you feel like that's what the church or these present day buildings are supposed to do, but they're not doing. They're missing the point of that. And I understand that in this ministry that I have to be that church, that I have to create safe spaces and bring other men who are going to also bring safe spaces to where we can have these very hard conversations, to where we can be a support system to one another. It's overwhelming, the pressure of men, and I'm not here to complain about it or grip and grime or cry me a river. I'm not Justin Timberlake, but it is good, and I think it's normal to be able to have emotional transparency and to be able to communicate and to be able to advocate for a helping hand, for support, for understanding, because so many men, young and old, just bury their emotions and they hide them away, and then it builds up, and then they end up abusing or being in these broken relationships or becoming addicts to marijuana or going through these addictions like pornography and being in these lustful situations. And it's just all these things that lead us away from our Father in heaven. And it just